Meeple Talk!
Hello everyone, we're Meeple Talk. I'm Adam.
And I'm Stephanie.
And we're here to ask you a question. Who will become the new Archmage?
Ooh! I'd like to.
Yeah? Okay.
How do we do that?
So
we've got the focus this week on 5 Seals of Magic, produced by Mayday Games, and the designer, where's the designer's name? I can't see it. Thorsten Reichwein.
Thank you for that. Yes.
So this is a relatively new game. We saw this one it was one of our Gen Con series that we saw and picked up and thought, hey, this looked kind of interesting. So a little bit about the story here. We've got Arcana Tower.
It goes up here. Imagine there's a tower, and this is the dungeon of the tower.
So what had happened is that the Great Archmage in the region all of a sudden just disappeared. Nobody knows what happened to him. But now what happened...
Convenient, I want to mention.
So now the 5 mages from all around, east, west, north, south, and beyond, I think is what they said the 5th region was. They're going to come in, they're going to try to, with all their magical skill, try to become the new Archmage and succeed. And so really what they're going to be doing is leaving all their books and wares and everything else behind, and they're going to come into the tower, into the dungeon in the basement, and they're going to try to clear paths, because all the secret, powerful scrolls are hidden in the depths.
And there's various doors and various rooms, and they're all sealed by various magical seals, each more powerful as you go
So they have to test their skill to break these seals and finally collect the scrolls. The stronger, the better, because the more powerful you are in the end, you are going to be then the victor.
Magic. So we'll tell you how this...
I was just going to say, do you want a little close-up view?
Check it out.
Okay. Oh, welcome to the board here. As you can see, the layout here is a circular board, and what this is representing is Arcana Tower. This is the dungeon or basement area where all the different scrolls are kept and where you're going to be testing your magic. This is a customizable board. If you can see right here, you'll notice that the dungeon is actually cut off into 2 different sections, depending on the number of players. Smaller numbers are going to be limited to this range only, whereas larger groups will have the extra sections as well to give more movability and more spells to possibly collect from. So within the dungeons themselves, every hallway here and every path is going to be blocked by certain magic seals. These are what you're going to break to try to move paths to get to your scrolls. And that's what these tiles are representing. You'll notice that the scrolls themselves, these are your source of magic to become more powerful as the game goes on. And depending on the number of pips indicated as dice rolls, that will indicate the level of strength or value of that particular spell. The more you collect with the higher value, that's going to be better for you. Now, to help with your ability to conduct or practice your magic, you will have resource fields. These dice are what you're going to be using to draw and possibly test your strength or your skill. Every character we've got, our various mages, they'll have different types of characters, and along with them, they will also have a familiar. So in this case, one mage, everyone has their unique familiar. And in the beginning, they will also have at their disposal their original binding scroll. This is the first type of spell you will have available to you that will serve as actually 2 functions in the game, which Adam will get to in just a moment. Now, you'll notice that we have all these spare decks. The reason why that is that these tiles, they're going to be randomly set each and every time you set up the game. Same with the scroll tiles, the variability of the colors, not the scroll tiles, but the actual seal tokens. These are all going to change. It's going to be random throughout the game. And there are different families or types of spells that will become dominant in each version of the game that you play. So they're going to be mixed up, whether it's enhancing movement or other types of spells that will give a certain theme or feature for the game. And so you'll have these that you'll pick one to mix with the base deck to spread around, and you can change them up as it goes on. So generally, it's a very simplified setup when it comes to the types of things that you'll be focusing on, but a lot of variability with the components themselves.
Okay, so let's move on to how you would play a turn. So each player at the beginning will choose 3 dice. They can take them from any of the 4 fields of dice, the 4 different elements. In this case, just as an example, I'm going to take 2 red and maybe a green. So you'll take 3 dice, and then going around in a circle from the first player, and this is the first player marker, so player will have a torch. And they'll roll those dice. Everyone will roll their dice. And depending on what you get, you can then break seals. Now, in this case, for example, I have a green 3. So I could break a seal that is a 3 or lower. For example, I could go through here. These seals have already been broken. So I could break this seal with this 3 die. And then this die would go back to its pool. I would remove that seal from the board. And now I've moved here. Now the next player would take their turn and would go around, and when it would come back to me again, now I still have 2 dice left. I can use them both together, or I can use one of each. Now, this particular spell is purple, so that means you can use any color dice, but if it were this spell scroll that I was trying to capture, I would have to match or exceed that number there, but also the color of die. So I would need a green 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 to break this one. In this case, because it's purple, I can use my red die, and I only need 1 die, so I could break that. But if I had only, let's say, a 2 on here, let's say I had a 2, then I could combine these 2 dice to capture that scroll. That scroll then becomes part of my library. On future turns, I can use this, use the ability of that scroll, and all the different scrolls have different abilities for changing dice, for stealing scrolls from other players, allowing you greater movement, and as Stephanie may have mentioned, there's 4 different circles of magic that you can use within the game. So players will go around until they've used all of their dice, and that will be 1 round. Now the game ends when these scrolls that have 6s on them. For a 4-player game, if there's less than 5 of these left on the board, so at the end of any round you would count and say how many. In this case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's 7 originally on the board here. I might have miscounted one. But anyway, the point is you'll count and you'll say, oh, if there's less than 5, that round means the game is over. And then all of the players will then count all of the numbers on their scrolls, and whoever has the most points wins the game. So it's all about capturing the scrolls. Whoever captures the most wins. But the scrolls have different effects, so that makes it very interesting. I didn't mention the familiars. The familiars can be used in place of your character to block a spot, for example. For example, on my turn, if I were standing, let's say, here, I could, as one of my actions for my familiar's binding scroll, I could replace my character with my familiar, and that would block that spot. Maybe someone is trying to get into this room to capture this scroll. They could not do it on that turn because my familiar was blocking it. And basically, that is the entire game. It's a very simple game, very easy to play, but all the different kinds of scrolls make it very interesting. All right, so that's the game. Mm-hmm. What did we think about it? Well, first of all, I think
I love that. What do we think? Well, first of all,
well, would you like to start?
No, go ahead.
All right. See, I was going to start first.
All right. You knew it all along.
I knew it all along. I had magical power. So, I really like the theme of this game. Mm-hmm. I like the fact that, you've got these various wizards and mages, and you're trying to unlock the seals, mm-hmm. and then you have to go through the dungeon, and it looks like a dungeon, and then these actual scrolls can be used. But it is very much a dice rolling game, right? So it's all about dice rolling. But similar to, I guess, Stefan Feld games, the dice rolls can be changed by the various pools of magic. So what I really like about it is, number one, how as the game proceeds, you get more and more scrolls, and then you can do more and more things. Yeah. But also, because there's 4 different circles of magic, you can really mix it up and add a lot of different kinds of magic to it. And all of the magic does different things. I think we did the Circle of Conflict, in which you can steal scrolls from other players, steal dice from other players of different colors. So that was fun. And then this one that's set up is this the circle of movement, in which you can move quickly from one place to another. You can block other players.
And we didn't mention this one. We have these guardian tokens, too. They can serve as almost like permanent blocks. So if you are controlling one, you can plunk it on a certain seal. It cannot be captured.
Right.
So,
and that's only part of the circle of movement. So, and then, like I say, there's 3 other circles. So, yeah, exactly. So, and then you got your familiar, and that kind of adds a little interest to the game as well. But overall, I think it's a very simple and easy game to play. It's not hard to learn at all. And you can have up to 5 players, which is cool as well. And the board is very modular. I don't know if it came out in the overview, but you'll see that these pieces...
We didn't list out the pieces.
Yeah, there's actually 6 different pieces, and you can flip them over so that more or less of the dungeon will appear, depending on the number of players. So for 2 players, there's maybe only half the dungeon appears, and now I can't get this back together. Oh, that seems to be okay. All right. So...
He ruined it all.
So it's very clever that way, the way that they set it up. So it automatically adjusts itself for different numbers of players. So I felt that there were there was no problem understanding the game as you read the rules. There's no problems with the user interface or anything like that. And it's a nice looking game, and I think it was great. I think it was fun to play.
You know, and they did do a good job. And I guess it's odd when you think about things like pros and cons and things like that. It seems like the characteristics that give it its strength is also going to be part of the weakness, depending on the type of player that you are. Because, as Adam said, it is dice rolling. And so they're trying to come up with a way of how do we go with traditional mechanisms of dice roll, but in a different way. And so really this, it's like you're rolling for skill, essentially, to try to move the path. So there's not a whole lot of strategy other than where can I maybe want to go and how quickly I want to clear or gather the seals, because it's not just number of seals, but the strength of the seals too. So you could be the one who's collected the fewest, but if they were of higher value, you still can come out in the end on top. Also, the level of competition, they do a nice way of adding variability to the game when it comes to the types of spells you're going to be working with, whether you want to stick to the single genre or if you want to house rules and just mix it all up and make it completely random.
You can totally do that. That occurred to me as well.
You know, it just is, it's not a game that, you have to play it a certain specific way. So it lends to the great replayability because it allows for a lot of variety, and you can, increase or decrease the level of cross competition or sabotage, how you're going to play with your certain types of spells. But that could, on the flip side, be what would be annoying for someone who, for example, if you really like strategy games or other types of games that you don't want to be subject to so much chance. I mean, there's going to be chance with the types of tiles, the scrolls are going to be out, the types of seals are going to be out, the rolls that you do, who happens to go first. So if you really get frustrated by the chance element, this is not going to be the thing that you're going to be drawn to.
Right. But as a classic dice game, it's the sort of game where, you roll the dice and then you capitalize on the situation as it stands. Because with every round, other players will be opening new seals and there will be new opportunities that weren't there before, and you don't know about that ahead of time. So you really have to capitalize on those things.
And it's hard to really peg this game, too, because illustration's fantastic. It has a very youthful feel, so it could easily be passed over as, this looks like just a simple roll and move family kind of game. But it's not, though, because with the way you can change the competition level, you can make it appeal to older age groups. But again, it's not going to be the same type of game as someone who really likes those competitive strategy games or battle games and things like that.
This is more lighthearted game, definitely.
It is definitely lighthearted.
But I will say that it's definitely a game that anyone can step into, right?
Yeah.
It's that simple that you just go in, you explain the rules, boom. There's nothing hard to grasp about it.
Yeah. I just... as fun and lighthearted and appealing as it is, I'm not sure if it has such a broad audience. It may be a little bit more specific to the type of player that you are, but for what it does that very well. And that's something that is that I like to see in games. So if this is your style, I would absolutely say give this a try.
Yeah, and then this last year we've seen a lot of new dice games come out, and this is what I say.
Seems like it's coming with a revival.
This is a very good example and a very good specimen of dice games, I think, because it's unique. I haven't seen anything exactly like this. So and I think they implemented it very well. So,
Yeah. So I would say, hey, you know what? Give it a try.
Yeah.
But thank you. I guess that's it for us, unless you have anything else.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Definitely check it out.
Disappear all of a sudden.
All right. Well, thanks for watching our review, and we'll see you again next time.
Excellent. See you.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.